Hi, welcome to HeKate's Crossing, part 5 of the Tantra experience. Discourses on the Royal Song of Sahara as we explore chapter 1, away aiming at the 1. Let us sort of go over a little bit here. We go back a couple of sentences. You are so worried with all your incomplete actions. You are like a junkyard. One thing is incomplete here, another thing is incomplete there. Nothing is complete. Have you watched it? Have you ever completed anything? Or is everything just incomplete? And you go on pushing aside one thing and you start another thing. And before it is complete, you start another. You will become more and more burdened. This is what karma is. Karma means incomplete action. Be total and you will be free. The woman was totally absorbed. That's why she was looking so luminous. She was looking so beautiful. She was an ordinary woman, but the beauty was not of this earth. The beauty came because of total absorption. The beauty came because she was not so an extremist. The beauty came because she was in the middle, balanced. Out of balance comes grace. For the first time, Sahara encountered a woman who was not just physically beautiful, who was spiritually beautiful. Naturally, he was surrendered. The surrender happened. Absorbed, totally absorbed in whatsoever she was doing. He understood for the first time. This is what meditation is. Not what you sit for a special period and repeat a mantra. Not that you go to church or to the temple or to the mosque, but to be in life, to go on doing trivial things, but with such absorption that the profundity is revealed in every action. He understood what meditation is for the first time. He had been meditating, he had been struggling hard, but for the first time meditation was there alive. He could feel it, he could have touched it, it was almost tangible. And then he remembered that closing one eye, opening the other, is a symbol of a Buddhist symbol. Buddha says psychologists will agree with him now, after 2,500 years. Psychology has come to that point where Buddha was so long before. Buddha says half the mind and half the mind intuits. The mind is divided in two parts, in two hemispheres. The left side hemisphere is the faculty of reason, logic, discursive, thought, analysis, philosophy, theology, words and words and words and arguments and syllogisms and inferences. The left side mind is Aristotelian. The right side mind is intuitive, poetic, inspiration, vision, a priori consciousness, a priori awareness. Not that you argue, you simply come to know. Now that you infer, you simply realize. This is the meaning of a priori awareness. It is simply there. The truth is known by the right side mind. Truth is inferred by the left side mind. Influence is just influence. It is not experience. Suddenly he realized that the woman had closed one eye. She had closed one eye as symbolic of closing the eye of reason, logic, and she had opened the other eye symbolic of love, intuition, awareness. And then he remembered the posture. Aiming at the unknown, the invisible, we are on the journey to know the unknown, to know that which cannot be known. That is real knowledge, to know that which cannot be known, to realize that which is unrealizable, to attain that which cannot be attained. This impossible passion is what makes a man a religious seeker. Yes, it is impossible. By impossible, I didn't mean that it will not happen. By impossible, I mean that it cannot happen unless you are utterly transformed. As you are, it cannot happen. But there are different ways of being, and you can be totally a new man. Then it happens. It is possible for a different kind of man. That's why Jesus says, until you are reborn, you will not know it. A new man will know it. You come to me, you will not know it. I will have to kill you. I will have to drastically to you. You will have to despair, and the new man is born. A new consciousness comes in because there is something indestructible in you which cannot be destroyed. Nobody can destroy it. Only the destructible will be destroyed, and the indestructible will be there. When you attain to that indestructible element in your being, to that internal awareness in your being, you are a new man, a new consciousness. Through that, the impossible is possible, the unattainable is attained. So he remembered the posture, aiming as the unknown, the invisible, the unknowable, the one that is the aim, how to be one with existence. The individual is the aim, where subject and object are lost, where I and thou are lost. There is a very famous book, and a great book by Martin Buber, I and Thou. Martin Buber says the experience of prayer is an I-thou experience. He is right. The experience of prayer is an I-thou experience. God is the thou. You remain an I, and you have a dialogue, a communion with the thou. But Buddhism has no prayer in it, and Buddhism goes higher. Buddhism says even if there is an I-thou relationship, you remain divided, you remain separate. You can shout at each other, but there will be no communion. The communion happens only when the I-thou division is no more, when subject and object disappear. But there is no I and no thou, no seeker and no sought, when there is unity, unison. Realizing this, seeing into this woman's actions and recognizing the truth, the woman called him Sahara. His name was Rahuli. The woman called him Sahara. Sahara is a beautiful word. It means he who has shot the arrows. Sora means arrow. It means have shot. Sahara means one who has shot the arrow. The moment he recognized the significance of the woman's actions, those symbolic gestures, the moment he could read and decide what the woman was trying to give, what the woman was trying to show, the woman was tremendously happy. She danced and called him Sahara and said, "From today you will be called Sahara. You have shot the arrow. Understanding the significance of my actions, you have penetrated." Sahara said to her, "You are not an ordinary arrowsmith woman. I am sorry to have even thought that you were an ordinary arrowsmith woman. Excuse me, I am tremendously sorry. You are a great master, and I am reborn through you. Till yesterday I was not a real Brahmin. From today I am. You are my master, and you are my mother, and you have given me a new birth. I am no longer the same, so right you are. You have dropped my old name, and you have given me a new name. You ask me sometimes, why do you give new names? To drop the old identity, to forget the past, not to be any more in any attachment with the past. A clean break is needed. You have to become discontinuous with the past. Rahul becomes Sahara. The legend has it that the woman was nobody, but a hidden Buddha. The name of the Buddha given in her scriptures is Natha, the Buddha who had come to help the great potential mean Sahara. Buddha, a certain Buddha of the name Suhartha, took the form of a woman. But why? Why the form of a woman? Because Tantra believes that just as a man has to be born out of a woman, so the new birth of a disciple is also going to be out of a woman. In fact, all the masters are more mothers than fathers. They have the quality of the feminine. Buddha is feminine, so is Mahivara, so is Krishna. You can see the feminine grace, the feminine roundness, you can see the feminine beauty. You can look into their eyes and you will find the male aggressiveness. So it is very symbolic that a Buddha took the form of a woman. Buddhas always take the form of a woman. They may be living in a male body, but they are feminine. Because all that is born out of the feminine energy. Male energy can trigger it, but cannot give birth. A master has no keep you in his womb. A master has no keep you in his womb for months, for years, sometimes for lives. One never knows when you will be ready to be born. A master has to be a mother. A master has to be tremendously capable of feminine energy so that he can shower love on you. Only then can he destroy. Unless you are certain about his love, you will not allow him to destroy you. How will you trust? Only his love will make you able to trust. And through trust, by and by, he will cut limb by limb, and one day suddenly you will disappear. Slowly, 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 and you are gone. Gehi gehi, Puma geti, geti geti, Puma geti, going, 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 gone. Then the new is born. The arrowsmith woman accepted him. In fact, she was waiting. A master waits for the disciple. Old tradition says before a disciple chooses the master has chosen the disciple. Exactly that's what's happened in this story. Sukhnatha was hiding in the form of a woman, waiting for Sahara to come, and he transformed through him. And it seems more logical too that a master should choose first, because he is more aware, he knows. He can penetrate to the very possibility of your being, the very potentiality. He can see your future, he can see that which can happen. When you choose a master you think you have chosen, you are wrong. How can you choose a master? You are so blind. But how can you recognize a master? You are so unaware. How can you feel a master? If you start feeling him, that means he has already entered in your heart and has started to playing with your energies. That's why you start feeling him. Before a disciple ever chooses a master, the master has chosen him already. She accepted. She was waiting for Sahara to come. They moved to a cremation ground and started living together. Why to a cremation ground? Because Buddha says, unless you understand death, you will not be able to understand life. Unless you die, you will not be reborn. Many Tantra disciples have lived in the cremation ground. Since Sahara, he was the founder. He lived in a cremation ground. People would be brought, dead bodies would be brought and buried, and he lived there. That was his home, and he lived with this arrowsmith woman. They lived together. There was great love between them, not the love of a woman and a man, but the love of a master and a disciple, which is certainly higher than any man-woman love can ever reach, which is more intimate, certainly more intimate, because a man and woman love affair is just of the bodies. As the most, sometimes it reaches to the mind, otherwise it remains in the body. A disciple and a master, it is a soul love affair. Sahara had found his soulmate. They were in tremendous love, great love, which really happens on this earth. She taught him Tantra. Only a woman can teach Tantra. Somebody asked me why I have chosen Kavisha to be the group leader for Tantra. Only a woman can be a Tantra group leader. It will be difficult for a man. Yes, sometimes a man can also be, but then he will have to become very, very feminine. A woman is already, she has already those qualities, those loving, affectionate qualities. She naturally has that care, that love, that feeling for the soft. Sahara became a tantrika under the guidance of this arrowsmith woman. Now he was no longer meditating. One day he left all the Vedas, scriptures knowledge. Now he left even meditation. Now rumors started spreading all over the country He no longer meditates. He sings, of course, and dances too, but no meditation anymore. Now singing was his meditation. Now dancing was his meditation. Now celebration was his whole life. Now celebration was his whole lifestyle. Living in a cremation ground and celebrating. Living where only death happens and living joyously. This is the beauty of Tantra. It joins together the opposites, the contraries, the contradictionaries. If you go to the cremation ground, you will feel sad. It will be difficult for you to be joyous. It will be difficult for you to sing and dance where people are being buried and where people are crying and weeping. And every day, death and death, day and night, death. How will you rejoice if you cannot rejoice there? Then all that you can think is your joy is just a make-believe. If you can rejoice there, then joy has really happened to you. Now it is unconditional. Now it doesn't make any difference whether death happens or life, whether somebody is born or somebody is dying. Sahara started singing and dancing. He was no longer serious. Tantra is not. Tantra is a playfulness. Yes, it is sincere, but not serious. It is joyous. Play entered his being. Tantra is play, because Tantra is highly involved form of love. Love is play. There are people who would not like even love to be a play. Mahatma Gandhi says, make love only when you want to reproduce. Even love they change into work, reproduction. This is just ugly. Make love to your woman only when you want to reproduce. Is she a factory? Reproduction, the very word is ugly. Love is fun. Make love to your woman when you are feeling happy, joyous, when you are at the top of the world. Sahara that energy. Share that energy. Love your man when you have that quality of dance and song and joy. Not for reproduction. The word reproduction is obscene. Make love out of joy, out of abundance, joy. Give when you have it. Play entered into his being. A lover is always the spirit of play. The moment the spirit of play dies, you become a husband or a wife. Then you are no longer lovers. Then you reproduce. And the moment you become a husband or a wife, something beautiful has gone dead. It is no longer more alive. The juice flows no more. Now it is just pretentious hypocrisy. Play entered his being, and through play, true religion was born. This ecstasy was so infectious that people started coming to watch him dancing and singing. And when people would come and watch, they would start dancing. They would start singing with him. The cremation ground became a great celebration. Yes, bodies were being burnt still, but more and more crowds started gathering around Sahara and the Arrowsmith woman, and great joy was created on that cremation ground. And it became so infectious that people who had never heard anything about ecstasy would come, dance and sing and fall into ecstasy, go into samadhi. His very vibration, his very presence became so potent that just if you were ready to participate with him, it would happen. Contact high. Those who came around him, he was so drunk that his inner drunkenness started overflowing to other people. He was so stoned that others started becoming stoned and more stoned. But then the inevitable, the Brahmins and the priests and the scholars and the so-called religious people started vilifying and slandering him. That I call the inevitable. Whenever there is a man like Sahara, the scholars are going to be against him, the priests are going to be against him, and the so-called moral people, Puritans, self-righteous people, they started spreading absolutely biased rumors about him. They started saying to people, he has fallen from grace, he's a pervert, he is no longer a Brahmin, he has given up celibacy, he is no longer even a Buddhist monk, he indulges in shameful practices with a low-caste woman, and runs around like a mad dog in all directions. His ecstasy was just like a mad dog to them. It depends how you interpret. He was dancing all over the cremation ground. He was mad, but he was not a mad dog. He was a mad god. It depends on how you look. The king was also told these things. He was anxious to know exactly what was happening. He became worried. More and more people started coming to him. They knew him. They knew that the king was always deeply respectful towards Sahara, that he wanted to appoint him as his counselor in the court. But Sahara had renounced the world. The king had much respect for his learning, so they started coming to the king. The king was worried. He had loved the young man and respected him too, and he was concerned. So he sent a few people to persuade Sahara and tell him, "Come back to your old ways. You are a Brahmin. Your father was a great scholar. You yourself were a great scholar. What are you doing? You've gone astray. Come back home. I am still here. You come to the palace. Be part of my family. This is not good." The people went, and Sahara sang 160 verses to those people who had come to convert him. These 160 verses, and these people started dancing, and they never came back. The king was even more worried. The king's wife, the queen, was also interested in the young man. She wanted the young man to marry her daughter, so she went there, and Sahara sang 80 verses to the queen, and she never came back. Now the king was much puzzled. What is happening there? So the king himself went there, and Sahara sang 40 verses, and the king was converted, and he started dancing in the cremation ground like a mad dog. So there are 3 scriptures available in the name of Sahara. First, the people's song of Sahara, 180 verses. Second, the queen's song of Sahara, 80 verses. And third, the royal song of Sahara, which we are going to meditate upon. 40 verses, 160 verses for the people because their understandings were not great. 80 for the queen, she was a little higher, but understanding was a little higher. 40 for the king because he was really a man of intelligence and awareness of understanding. Because the king was converted, the whole country by and by was converted, and it is said in the old scriptures that a time came when the whole country became empty. Empty, it is a Buddhist word. It means people became nobodies. They lost their ego trips. People started enjoying the moment. The hustle and bustle, the competitive violence disappeared from the country. It became a silent country. It became empty, as if nobody was there. The men as such disappeared from the country. A great divineness descended on the country. Those 40 verses were at the root of it, the very source of it. That's it for the moment. Don't forget to check the link below, check the links on my channel, like, subscribe and ring that bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded.